Now to the monologue. What it is, complacency, incompetence, unqualified DEI, and leftist agendas are making America a dangerous place. We know that more than ever after the terror attack in New Orleans on New Year's Day. A damning new report in the Daily Caller says the New Orleans FBI office and police department are chock full of DEI nonsense. It's like the WNBA over there. And no shade towards the regular New Orleans cops. They took the killer out before he could make things even worse. That's bravery. They ran towards the sound of gunfire. They ran towards the sounds of gunfire while the dumbasses in charge ran DEI workshops. According to the report, the FBI field office actually held a diversity agent recruitment event. It happened in July of last year, according to the FBI press release. They wanted to find applicants with, quote, diverse backgrounds and skills, opinions, and perspectives. It would have been nice if one of those skills was to use barricades to prevent a terrorist from driving into a crowd. President Trump called it out on Truth Social, saying, quote, our country is a disaster, a laughingstock all over the world. This is what happens when you have open borders with weak, ineffective, and virtually non-existent leadership. He also posted, quote, when I said that the criminals are coming in that are far worse than the criminals we have in our country, that statement was consistently refuted by Democrats and fake news media, but it turned out to be true. The crime rate in our country is at a level that no one has ever seen before. Of course, he's not saying the terrorist was an illegal immigrant. He's talking about the bigger issue at hand. And it's a strong statement, and the message is clear. But the media totally missed his entire point, not seeing the forest for the trees, and responded like they usually do.
The implication there is that the Biden border policy is somehow to blame for a terrorist killing 14 people, only that that terrorist is actually an American.
This is what Trump does. He lied, and he's stoking fear.
Everything is the border. Everything is immigrants. Everything is the border, the border, the border. And now they have lied so much that Donald Trump is repeating it.
You cannot escape the fact that this is a brown suspect with an exotic name, an Arabic name, and that was so convenient for people.
The media said the terrorist was American. They missed the damn point. The chaos caused by an open border with DEI hires makes everything weaker. Police are stretched thin and no support from blue city officials. I think this quote from New Orleans Police Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick sums up the incompetence best.
So we did indeed have a plan, but the terrorist defeated it.
Where do these clowns come from? Oh, yeah, the police chief came from Oakland, California's police department, which fired her. If you need more reason to doubt Ann Kirkpatrick other than the fact that she looks like the granny from the Beverly Hillbillies.
Watch it now.
Just a few months ago, she accidentally drove her own car into two pedestrians when she made a left-hand turn and didn't see them. They weren't seriously hurt, and she did say sorry. And what about the big yellow barriers that would have prevented the attack? They're there now, but she is totally clueless where they came from.
When you go down Bourbon, you will see yellow, what we call archers, and they're along the sidewalk. And that would be to be preventive if someone had, or if this particular terrorist went around up on the sidewalk, that's what that would do.
Yellow archers, where do they come from?
Actually, we have them. I didn't know about them, but we have them.
I didn't know about them, but we have them. I bet that's very comforting to the families. Now, I'm not saying she was hired because of DEI, but I'm not saying it. Now, look, motivated bad men will do bad things, but incompetent, unqualified hires are just as dangerous to the safety of the public. President Trump's first act might be to declare a state of emergency to protect the American way of life before another preventable tragedy happens again.
Hashtag enough said.
Dagan, I'm going to go to you first. Now, I lived almost 10 years in Louisiana, and I'm angry, and it's hard to contain my anger because we see the incompetence, we see the corruption all the time, but you had the ability to ensure safety, and it looks to me that you just didn't feel like paying people to put the stuff out there. you've seen it all. You've been in this news game a long time. When are we going to start holding people accountable for not doing what they're supposed to do?
Public firings would be a terrific start. The fact there was nothing more horrific other than being there than watching that truck drive around a police car where the bollards should have been. But the bollards weren't there because they were being fixed for the Super Bowl. But they weren't there to protect the people on Bourbon Street on New Year's Eve, one of the busiest tourist places in the entire United States. And that old lady and the rest of them didn't give a.
No, they didn't. Charlie?
Yeah, and the thing that's so annoying about the bollards thing, I find a lot of the security measures that they come up with, like taking your shoes off at the airport, I find the bollards kind of annoying. But they assure us that in lieu of doing like actual investigative work to find out who's trying to kill us, we're going to put up these features. And then, of course, the features don't ever work. And so we wind up with a situation like the one that we had in New Orleans. The best part of it, as you pointed out, was that dude didn't make it 2 steps out of that truck before he got turned into Swiss cheese by those police officers. And thank God for that, and thank God for them, for their willingness to run to the sound of gunfire. The other thing that's just beyond enraging is attacking Donald Trump for talking about the open border. You know what's stupider? And I don't think there's anything stupid about Donald Trump pointing out that, well, you know what? The next attack is going to come from the millions of illegals that these people have allowed across the border. You know what's dumber than that? Would be defending open borders in the wake of a terrorist attack. Right. And that's what these people are doing. That you've got it from the press and from Democrats.
Kat, you did a really great job last night of talking about this. And when you see preventable tragedies, that's almost worse than when, like 9/11, for example, there was nothing we could do about the planes. It was never, now we have security in place supposedly that's going to stop that. But when you see something that they had the ability to put the yellow blockers out and just didn't do it, doesn't that make it worse?
I think that I talked a lot about this yesterday. I think that there needs to be accountability, because when there's not accountability, then there's the same people in these positions that have allowed bad things to happen. They're allowed to continue to allow bad things to happen. But boy, the first time I heard her say that, we did have a plan, but the terrorists defeated it, I rewound it. I was like, yeah. That's what you're going with? We did have a plan, but the terrorists defeated it. Yes, that's the inspirational message that a city and nation rocked with tragedy wants to hear. Like, did you not have anybody? Got us. Did you not have anybody who could run that by first? Like, I don't think that anyone's going to be putting that on a T-shirt anytime soon. So not only is there incompetence, but she wasn't even good at like the talking, consoling leadership part either. So I think that there's just a huge dearth of accountability. Just sadly, that's the standard, is that in the government there's a lack of accountability, and a lot of what passes for security, I think the TSA is an example of that, really is security theater. People will say we're doing these things to keep you safe, to look like we're doing something, but really are you? If you look at the stats of what they catch versus what they don't catch,
searching old ladies and pregnant women in wheelchairs is not security.
And just looking like you're doing something is not enough. You need to do something for the sake of our lives, and also we pay you guys enough money.
How is she still employed? I mean, it should have been resignation on the desk as soon as it was found out that they chose not to, and probably because they wanted to put the bill on the Super Bowl guys, because they're 2 different things. There's actually 3 different things they could have used. One of them supposedly was not being fixed. They also have the street things that come up, and they had the portable yellow thing. So there was opportunities to protect people. They just chose not to. How does anyone fathom that she's allowed to go to her office today?
But I think that's part of the problem, is no one ever wants to say, this is on me. This is a mistake we made. This was preventable, and there were measures that should have been in place that weren't, because apparently there's a problem in this country with saying, I screwed up and I'm going to own this. I don't know if it's a legal liability thing that people are going to sue. That's going to happen anyway. But at least give people the comfort of knowing that in this DEI world, where we do have mistakes. And listen, as far as the DEI, there's not a problem with DEI as long as you don't give up competency for DEI. We should look like the country we are. No one's saying that, but not at the expense of expertise and competency. So when you do have expertise and competency, someone will stand up and say, hey, you know what? There was a screw up here. Here are the people at fault, and it starts with me. But I don't know why we just can't do that right now.
And most they have qualified immunity, which means that they can't be held responsible.
Right. New Jersey has Title 59. Yeah.
Yeah, they have
right.
protections.
There's governmental immunity
to walk out, but that would mean you actually care about the people that you serve. And I think that's, for me, what's the frustrating point is this wasn't some elaborate plan that just we had everything in place and they just.
And the negligence is so obvious here that don't worry about saying the wrong thing that's going to get you sued because the negligence is clear. So rather than worry about that, forget about it and show the people that at least in your failure, you could lead by taking the responsibility of saying, I screwed up. This is on me.
Yeah, to me, the press conference is more about protecting the sugar bowl than it was the people, in my opinion. Up next, Biden's old error on Islamic terror.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.